channel. I'm back to break down this 10-game MLB DFS slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get into the breakdown, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. That would be greatly appreciated. That way you don't miss any new content when I upload. On the way to 1,000 subscribers, a big goal of mine. If you guys could help me get there, I would greatly appreciate that. I'll be giving out these videos every single day. It's free. It takes 1 second to do, and you have no idea how much it helps me work really hard on these videos to give you guys the best content possible. And I will continue to do so the rest of the season. So if you could take a second to do that, that would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to stay tuned at the end of the video for my home run call of the day. Struck out on that yesterday with Jose Ramirez, unfortunately, but we're looking to bounce back today, get back on the right track. We've been doing pretty well overall with those most of the time, hitting those home run calls, so I want to get back on that hot streak. And lastly, if you are getting very serious about MLB DFS, go ahead and check out my MLB DFS premium package. It's linked below in the description. You get access to all the same tools I use when building my own MLB DFS lineups. Had a pretty good season so far, taking on some multiple tournaments. Looking forward to keeping that going and looking forward to growing the community over there, so check that out. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. As always, I'd like to go ahead and start my sheet by K rate. It's fantasy sports. We have points for strikeouts, and the top guy on the slate today is going to be Dylan Cease taking on the New York Yankees. Comes in with a 30.8% K overall with a 14.7% swinging strike rate. That's top on the slate. A 30.2% K rate against righties and a 31.3% K rate against lefties. Very, very good stuff. The only issue he has really is the fly ball issues against right-handed hitting. But a ton of strikeouts to be had here in this New York Yankees lineup. While they can be dangerous, they also do provide their fair share of strikeouts. So Dylan Cease, a 132 favorite, 8-9 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at $9K. And this is definitely a very high upside. His last 2 starts striking out 11 and 10. So that just goes to show you how much upside this guy has. And once again, while the New York Yankees can be a little bit scary, he could get blown up here, they do have quite a few strikeouts in their lineup. So you got to like Dylan Cease today at the top for upside. Luis Garcia, same rules going to apply to him with a 29.8% K overall, a 14.1 swinging strike rate, 30.9% K rate against righties, and a 28.6% K rate against lefties. And he gets to take on a Los Angeles Angels team that has been striking out a bunch as well lately. This lineup is just going down and strikes a ton throughout the heart of the order. You got Max Stassi, Justin Upton, Jared Walsh, Joe Adell, Brendan Marsh, Jack Mayfield, all striking out a bunch. Luis Garcia comes in as a 196 favorite. And he's also going to make a lot of sense with that huge strikeout rate. These top 2 guys on the slate really standing out to me today. But it doesn't stop there because we have plenty of other options here, with Joe Musgrove taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks with a 28.2% K overall, 13.2 swinging strike rate, a 27.2% K rate against righties, and a 29.1% K rate against lefties. And taking on an Arizona Diamondbacks team that does not scare us whatsoever. Another great matchup for him, another heavy favorite. He is a 213 favorite in this one. And then as far as pitch count's concerned with all these pitchers, we're definitely going to want to compare those because we want the guys that are going to have the longest leash. Luis Garcia has been capped out right around the mid-80s, so that's an argument you can make against him. As far as Dylan Cease is concerned, he's had a really long leash, up to 103 pitches or so. The last 3 starts up to at least 90. And then Joe Musgrove, he's also had a very long leash in the mid-90s typically as far as pitch count's concerned. So Luis Garcia probably would be last in that one. We have Walker Buehler taking on the New York Mets next. He's been right around 95 to 100 pitches every start. And the New York Mets don't exactly supply the easiest matchup in the world compared to some of these matchups we talked about so far. But Walker Buehler still has really good stuff with a 26.5% K overall, 27.3% K rate against righties, and a 25.8% K rate against lefties. And very good on the ground ball, slugging, hard contact, all of that fun stuff. So taking on the New York Mets, looking at the Vegas lines, he is a 188 favorite if you want to go there. I tend to think he's priced all the way up to 11.5 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, he's also priced up to 10.6. I tend to think we could take a little bit of a discount on some of these other guys and better matchups and feel pretty decent about it. But if you want to get the Buehler, I don't think you're crazy at all. It's a 188 favorite. There's just some other guys that are even heavier favorites in better spots as well. Kikuchi taking on Toronto Blue Jays, a guy that I'm not going to have that much interest in, to be honest, because the Toronto Blue Jays are very right-handed heavy. Does a good job of keeping the ball on the ground, good ground ball, fly ball stuff to both sides of the plate. With a 24.8% K rate against righties, though, and a 456 slugging given up, he has had his struggles against righties, so it's going to be a no for me taking on Toronto. James Caprielli taking on the Texas Rangers, a team that has been depleted. Their lineup up and down with a 25.9% K overall, 30.9% K rate against righties, and a 20.8% K rate against lefties. We do prefer to target him against very right-handed heavy teams, if at all possible, with that huge 30% K rate compared to only the 20. And when looking at the expected lineup that the Rangers are going to roll out today, you can see they do have quite a few of a blend here, righty-lefty, but only a 3.62 implied run total, and this team's just not talented on paper. I think that Caprielli could definitely be a high upside play for you today. as far as his pitch count and all of that fun stuff compared to these other guys. He's been right around the mid-80s, up to 100 pitches as well. So, we definitely expected to be able to get his fair leash as far as pitchers are concerned. Kenta Maeda taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. They're just a really good lineup now. Not one that I'm really looking to target, to be honest, especially with some of the other targets we've discussed on the slate today. I don't feel the need to go to him. Jameson Taillon taking on the Chicago White Sox is a guy that can be very effective when he's not taking on a very left-handed heavy lineup. Has had his fair share of struggles against lefties. Chicago White Sox have a 4.47 implied run total, and they are a very right-handed heavy team for the most part. They're going to try to do their best to throw in a few lefties here in this matchup, I guess, with Cesar Hernandez, Brian Goodwin, Larry Garcia, Yoan Moncada. Try their best to capitalize on those splits, but overall, Taillon definitely could be in a good spot here. And if you look at his last couple starts, as far as his recent trends and performances, a good game against Baltimore, he had 10 Ks last time out, back to 4 Ks, 6 innings pitched, still a strong game, just not as many strikeouts, and has looked very good. 0 run, 2 run, 0, 1, 0. 2, 1. Last time he got blown up was back on June 29th, where he gave up 5 runs. So James Taillon really looking good lately. If you want to go to him as a little bit of a cheaper option, would make some sense. And then once we get past him, honestly, these guys just really aren't necessary. The next guy I would be looking to would be Ryo taking on Seattle. You could make an argument that he is necessary because of the matchup. 19.8% K overall, really not the greatest, but he does a great job of keeping the ball on the ground. Good ground ball, fly ball stuff to both sides of the plate with a 21.2% K rate against lefties and a 19.4% K rate against righties. And the Seattle Mariners just really aren't good, let's be honest. So he could see his strikeout count climb in this one. He's 10-4 on FanDuel. Over on DraftKings, they have him priced at 8-4. Would greatly prefer the price tag on DraftKings, of course. And he has been somewhat capped on pitches, sometimes right around 80 pitches. Sometimes he's been up to 99 pitches, but overall, I would say he's a decent option. Nothing I'm getting too excited about. Makes more sense over on DraftKings to me than FanDuel for sure. And with that being said, let's go ahead and transition over to bats. As always, I like to go ahead and sort my sheet by Sierra, scaling our active ERA. It's a good way of determining who's been good and who hasn't. We do have one back-to-back, one doubleheader here as far as the Pittsburgh-Milwaukee game. So that's only going to be featured on DraftKings. That's only going to be a 7-innings game, so just keep that in mind. And honestly, I'm not really sure that you'd want to be going to that at all, maybe outside of bats, because Mitch Keller's been pretty bad, and I don't think Aaron Ashby is going to be the greatest talent in the world either for you DraftKings players, but that is only 7 innings, so you're kind of capping your upside. As far as Tyler Gilbert's concerned, we only have like a 2 innings pitch sample size of them. He's taking on the San Diego Padres. I do like to look at the Vegas lines when it comes to this stuff, and when looking at Gilbert, he's only 5.5 on FanDuel, 5.4 over here on DraftKings, and, it was a 3.2 innings pitch sample size is what we were dealing with. And he's been capped out right around like 20 pitches. So, I'm not all too sure he's even going to be able to go that deep. It's saying he struck out 5. The southpaw worked mainly as a starter in AAA. So that is something to take a note of here. And he should have a typical workload in his first major league start. So, expect him to go a little bit deeper in this one, supposedly. He's a left-handed hurler. And the Padres have a 5.37 applied run total. We're not scared of the Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen. I do tend to lean on Vegas in these spots, and we know that the Padres do have some really good right-handed hitters that can match lefties like Manny Machado, Will Myers, Jake Marisnick, Tommy Pham, Austin Nola. And then if you want to throw in the lefties, you get Contrarian and Frazier, Cronenworth, and Hosmer. You can definitely do so. They have a pretty high implied run total. Jaime Berry is the first guy that you're getting really excited to target on the slate, taking on the Houston Astros. Really bad across the board. Bad ground ball, fly ball stuff. Bad hard contact. Gives up a 317 slugging to righties and a 486 slugging to lefties. So it has been very, very bad against lefties. We're dealing with a 25 innings pitch sample size at this point. Has done a good job of limiting the slugging to righties. But overall, just a guy that we really aren't scared to target. This guy's been in and out of the league for quite some time now. Every time he's been around, he's been a guy that I love to target. And definitely with the lefties here, Michael Brantley, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Tucker, all going to be in great spots. And Angel Stadium, which as mentioned, I always talk about this, Angel Stadium, since they moved those walls in from right and left way back in the day. I don't know what year it was at this point, but it's really not that bad of a home run hitter's ballpark. 330 down the lines, you can see on the sheet here, righties and lefties plays pretty neutral to both sides, and I feel like a lot of people think that this isn't the best home run ballpark, which it isn't technically the best, but it's a pretty good environment, and it's 85 degrees with 8 mile-an-hour winds blowing out. The Houston Astros have a 5.53 implied run total. It definitely makes sense to be targeting them, and then they're filled out with a bunch of talent with the righties as well. Jose Altuve, Carlos Correa, Chas McCormick, Taylor Jones offer a bunch of power as well at the bottom of the lineup. And then you got Diaz in the middle order, who's a solid hitter. So you got to like the Houston Astros stack. I'm sure they're going to be popular, but for good reason. We have John Lester taking on the Kansas City Royals, a guy we really want to target with right-handed power. Has done a pretty good job of limiting hard contact on the year overall, but against righties, he's still giving up a 541 slugging, a 392 WOBA, only striking out those righties with a 14.2% clip. And the Kansas City Royals definitely have some right-handed bats that can mash left-handed pitching. Looking at Kauffman Stadium here and how it plays the hitters, we can see that this isn't exactly going to be, the top-notch stadium for home runs. However, outside of home runs, it plays very well across the board. Triples, doubles, singles, the outfield is huge out there. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the easiest to hit bombs. But with that being said, against John Lester and the right-hand power of the Royals, they could definitely keep a few out of the ballpark today with guys like Whit Merrifield, Salvador Perez, Carlos Santana, Emmanuel Rivera, Hunter Dozier, Michael Taylor, Hanser Alberto at the bottom of the order, all hit left-handed pitching very well. Jordan Lyles taking on the Oakland Athletics. This guy we definitely want to target. He's been terrible all season long. A 546 slugging unit up to righties, a 454 slugging unit up to lefties. Not good against both sides of the plate. The Oakland Athletics have made some improvements to their lineups, and they get to go into Texas, which is a tremendous hitting ballpark. Pulling up the diagram for you guys here as far as Texas Globe Life Field. You can see a lot of green going on there. Not a single part of the ballpark that doesn't play friendly to hitters. And that's going to lead to a lot of success for these Oakland Athletics. We're not scared about the Texas Rangers bullpen. And like I said, they made some improvements to their lineup. We got Mark Canha, Starling Marte, Matt Olson, Jed Lowry, Jan Gomes, Mitch Moreland, Matt Chapman, Seth Brown, Tony Kemp. I feel comfortable playing every single bat in this lineup 1 through 9 today against Jordan Lyles and that Texas Rangers bullpen. You got to love that stack. Brad Keller taking on the St. Louis Cardinals, the same game we talked about in that Kauffman Stadium environment. A 484 slugging unit up to righties, a 459 slugging unit up to lefties. Has done a really good job of keeping the ball on the ground, but as mentioned, if they can slap around a few singles, doubles, triples in the gap, this game could be high scoring very quickly. And I'm not scared of the Kansas City Royals bullpen at all. They have one of the worst bullpens in the league. The Cardinals have a much better bullpen, so you could make an argument that maybe the Cardinals are even in a better spot here. Maybe not against a starter, but in the long term of this game, scoring runs, they're on the road. Tommy Edman, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, Tyler O'Neill, Yadier Molina, Matt Carpenter, Harrison Bader, Paul DeJong, Lars Nootbaar on the bottom of the order. Can have interest in all of these guys for sure. And it's really going to be a matter of getting Brad Keller out of the game ASAP, getting to that bullpen, and then you're going to be really happy with your stack, I have a feeling. That would be my approach if I'm going to there. Kyle Freeland taking on the San Francisco Giants. Very easy to break down here. Hard contact hasn't been the worst, but he does give up a 510 slugging to righties, a 453 slugging to lefties. Most notably, that right-handed power is where you really want to target Kyle Freeland. And the San Francisco Giants have a very adaptable lineup, I guess you could say. They have righties that can match lefties. They have lefties that can match righties. The only risk that you run with this Giants lineup is that there is a good chance they get pinch hit for down the stretch, which always kind of stinks. But we're talking 25-mile-an-hour winds blowing out to left in San Francisco. San Francisco designed to limit the wind as far as the ballpark is concerned, but when there's winds this strong, it's still going to impact play. Still going to really like this. If there's ever a time to target bats in San Francisco, this would be the night. I mean, that's ridiculous. That's a large amount of wind blowing out to left center against a lefty that we really wanted to target, and against the Colorado Rockies bullpen, that's terrible. Austin Slater, Chris Bryant, Buster Posey, Darren Ruff, Wilmer Flores, Donovan Solano, Tyler Rashadi, Mike Strzemski. Gonna break lefties here. Wilmer Flores, Darren Ruff, Buster Posey, Chris Bryant, Austin Slater. Every single one of those guys mash left-handed pitching, so you gotta like the Giants stack. Unfortunately, you're gonna run the risk of the pinch hitting as mentioned, but if they get up big, maybe they just let these guys play it out, let them get some reps in, and maybe not pitch hit them in this one. That's going to be the goal, so can be looking to target them. Taijuan Walker taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Can definitely target the Dodgers every single time they take the field. They just have that good of a lineup. A 439 slugging unit to righties with a 302 slugging unit to lefties. He actually has been a lot worse against right-handed hitting on the season, so I would prefer the righties for this Dodgers lineup tonight. In New York, which really isn't the best hitting ballpark, unfortunately, but you got guys like Trey Turner, Will Smith, A.J. Pollock, Chris Taylor that you can be targeting throughout the lineup. If you want to go there, you can target the lefties as well. Because realistically, let's be honest, with the talent that these guys have and Max Muncy, Corey Seager, they can get to anyone. Maybe Taijuan Walker has a long day. The Dodgers could be a low-owned stack that you typically can't get too low-owned. Michael Walker taking on the Minnesota Twins, a guy that's been really struggling all season long with a 539 slugging unit to righties, a 444 slugging unit to lefties. Does not scare me at all. The only problem that I see with this game is that the Rays do tend to have a short leash with their pitchers. They're not afraid to pull them pretty early on. If that's the case, then the Twins may not get the easiest matchup in the world. But if they can get to him early, they do have a 4.92 implied run total. Pretty decent hitting weather in Minnesota. Not the best hitting ballpark in the world, unfortunately. But Michael Wacha just really hasn't been good. You can see a lot of red going on as far as to right-handed batters in Minnesota. Left-handed batters, it's a lot more friendly, but they do have the big scoreboard out there in right field, so it can be a little bit difficult to get the ball out of the ballpark at times. But, I mean, you got to have interest in these guys a little bit. Max Kepler, Brent Rooker, Jorge Polanco, Josh Donaldson, Luis Arias, Mitch Garver, Miguel Sano, Jake Cave at the bottom order. Plenty of power in those bats. So, Wacha, a guy that really hasn't been striking out many people, a guy that's been giving up a lot of hard contact, could make a lot of sense as a target tonight. And then once we get past him, things really start to decline as far as my interest is concerned. We do have Sam Long in that same San Francisco-Colorado game who's given up a lot of hard contact to right-handed power, so maybe some Colorado bats could be sneaky. And Connor Joe, Jonathan Daza. Trevor Story, CJ Cron have a lot of power. Elias Diaz has a lot of power, but let's be honest, the Colorado Rockies lineup is pretty rough. And then Kenta Maeda hasn't been giving up quite a bit of hard contact, whether you want to admit it or not. He has a pretty good name value, but a 441 slinging up the righties, a 468 slinging up the lefties. Not the worst numbers in the world as far as the hard contact and all that stuff's concerned, but when you're banking on the talent of the Rays lineup, if they can get Maeda out of this game early, the Twins do have one of the worst bullpens in baseball, so that would help our case a lot. And let's be honest, the Rays just have a very good lineup. Brandon Lau, Ji-Man Choi, Nelson Cruz, Austin Meadows, Wander Franco, Randy Rosarina, Joey Wendell, Kevin Kiermaier, Francisco Mejia. That's going to really treat you well as far as talent throughout the lineup in your stack. And yeah, that's really all I'd be looking to. I mean, we mentioned Taillon's issues against lefties. Also, Caprielian has issues against lefties, so you could target the White Sox lefties, the Texas lefties, but that's what I would leave you guys with. That's really all I'd be looking to today. And with that being said, before I let you guys go, I got to give you my home run call of the day. Let's get into it. And my home run call of the day today is going to be Mitch Moreland taking on Jordan Lyles. We mentioned his hard contact issues overall across the board has been terrible against lefties, specifically giving up a 454 slugging, 40% hard contact rate with a 49.7% fly ball rate. A lot of fly balls given up, only striking out lefties at a 15.9% clip, which even offers us more comfortability here because when you're dealing with a big power upside guy with a lot of strikeouts, we don't really have to worry about that much. And then when breaking down the repertoire, Jordan Lyles very reliant on the fastball curveball combination. Goes to the fastball about 50% of the time against lefties. On average, you're looking at a 92 to 93 mile an hour fastball, and Mitch Moreland touches that pitch. A 326 ISO with a 484 WOBA, and the curveball is not an issue either because Mitch Moreland features a 245 ISO with a 323 WOBA. Good way to get cheap exposure to this Oakland Athletics stack tonight in a great spot. Love this spot for Mitch Moreland. Get him in your lineups because he is my home run call of the day. So there you have it, guys. Mitch Moreland, get him in your lineups. And that is all from me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, if you could please take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content I upload. That would be greatly appreciated, guys. On the road to 1,000 subscribers, as mentioned. Thank you for everyone that's been so supportive so far. Thank you to all the newcomers that have enjoyed the content and have supported. Go ahead and leave a comment of your favorite play down below. Wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.